What is going on, guys? So today we're going to be taking a look at the latest Mac Mini, the i7 2.3 gigahertz quad-core processor with 4 gigabytes of RAM, 1 terabyte hard drive. Now this is going to be the 5400 RPM 1 terabyte hard drive. It's not the Fusion drive, but it does also pack the Intel HD Graphics 4000 chip. So we're going to be taking a look and do various of tests. First, starting off with the boot up test. So let's go ahead and power this bad boy on and see how long this takes to boot up. Now hopefully this will answer a lot of your guys' questions about the Mac Mini and if it's worth it or not, and see how fast it runs and all that good stuff. So right now this did take a couple seconds, probably like half a minute. Here we'll see how long it takes, and actually it does take about 30-ish seconds to boot up. There it goes. It took about roughly about 37.4 seconds. Now that is the 5400 RPM drive, which is just a standard hard drive. Now let's take a look at my MacBook Pro. This is a 2009 model MacBook Pro. It's a dual core, and it actually has an SSD, the solid state drive, inside. So we'll take a look at how long this takes to boot up. And you see here, it took about 12 seconds, 12 and a half seconds to boot up. Now using an SSD does make a huge difference, where as you see here it took half the time to boot up. But now we're going to do another type of test, and this one is called the stress test. Now stress test is basically opening up various applications at one time and see how long it actually takes for the, of course, processor, the RAM, and the hard drive itself to boot up all these apps right here. So simply opening all these apps, we take a couple seconds to load up some apps. Some do take longer than others, like GarageBand, iMovie, those bigger apps. But just by doing just a couple apps, just simple apps, they actually don't take that long to open up right here. So of course having an SSD on this actually makes a difference, of course, when loading up applications and also upgrading the RAM. Something to do keep in mind is that this Mac Mini, the i7 quad core, is actually upgradable up to 16 gigabytes of RAM. So if you actually put up to 16 gigabytes of RAM, this thing could be even that more beastly, if that's even a word. but yeah, while all these load, yeah, I'd like to actually upgrade this to 16 gigabytes. But you see here, it took about a minute or two just to boot up all of these apps, and that's including GarageBand, iMovie, and all that good stuff. So let's actually take another look at another test. Now we're actually going to be testing the disk, which is going to be the hard drive. And like I said earlier, this is a 1 terabyte 5400 RPM hard drive, just a standard hard drive. It's not like an SSD or anything like that. But like I said, SSD makes a big difference. Now we only get a write speed of about 90 to 98 megabytes per second, and a read speed of 98-ish megabytes per second. So like in the high 90s of the read speed. But normally on an SSD you'll probably get close to like 2, 3, 4, even 500, maybe even 600 of read and write speed. So it does, like I said, make a difference. So I'd highly recommend getting an SSD instead of using just a regular hard drive on this. Now we're going to move on to another type of test. This is going to be Cinebench. We're going to be using Cinebench, and this is going to be testing the Open Graphics Launcher and also the CPU. So basically the GPU and the CPU, so the graphics and the actual CPU. So running the Cinebench, we have like this little demo of a video demo, and see how fast this actually runs like in real time with graphics and all that good stuff. So you see here, it does run pretty well. It's pretty decent for not a high priced Mac. So in the end, it actually scored a 21.13 frames per second, which is not that bad. It's pretty good for a pretty inexpensive Mac. Now we're actually gonna do a CPU test. Now this does have an i7 CPU. It's gonna be a 2.3 gigahertz quad core processor. So we're going to see how long it takes to actually load up and render this photo here, and we'll get our final results here in a second. And in the end, the CPU actually scored a 6.11 PTS. It is pretty good. As you see here on the left, we have the actual OpenGL rankings of our 21.13 frames per second. It isn't that great of a graphics chip. As you see there in the ranking on the bottom left, it is actually scoring in 6th place out of 6. Now you see the very number one is going to be 48.73, so this one's like not like a little less than half of that. But anyways, moving on to the right, we have the CPU ranking of, we are actually in between. We're number 4 out of 6, and the number 1 is 11.69, and this one scores at 6.11. So it is it's not that bad. It's still pretty good for the actual quad-core processor and all that good stuff. But let's go ahead and do one more test. Now, one of the main purposes I did get this Mac Mini was for Final Cut Pro 10. Now, I had many problems just running Final Cut Pro on my MacBook Pro, my 2009 model, because of the actual processor. The processor was a dual core and it just sucked. And this is actually a quad core. It's a 2.3 gigahertz quad core i7 processor. So with that processor, it actually process things quickly on Final Cut Pro. As you see here, I can just skip things, and as you see the video, it's actually running in 1080p, full 1080p video right there without any sorts of freeze up or anything like that. Now, my MacBook Pro 2009 model did have even 8 gigabytes of RAM, and this is only packing 4 gigabytes of RAM and the quad-core processor. So 4 gigabytes of RAM, quad-core processor, and this is running real smooth on Final Cut Pro. Now, I really love this. This actually makes my life easier when coming to editing and basically doing anything. So overall, this Mac Mini is a pretty beastly Mac Mini. Starting off at $800. Well, actually, this one is the second, is a top one, is an $800 one. It's a quad-core processor, where the least expensive Mac Mini is going to run you at $600. So $600 or $800. You can also customize it the way you want. You can add more RAM to it. This one actually can hold up to 16 gigabytes of RAM, whereas to the lower end model can only hold up to 8 gigabytes of RAM. I believe that is correct. But anyways, guys, that is actually going to be my review of the Mac Mini and doing all these tests. So hopefully this answered y'all's questions of the Mac Mini. Overall, I love this Mac Mini, and it is probably one of the best Mac Mini, or it is going to be the best Mac Mini out there right now. And even you can actually customize it. Like I said, you can upgrade the RAM and make it even beastly-er. Like I said, if that's even a word, I don't know. And even slapping one of the SSDs will make this 10 times better. Also, that Fusion drive, I really want to get my hands on that Fusion drive and test that out to see how well that runs, because as you all know, or you probably don't know, a Fusion drive is the latest Apple hard drive it's a hard drive / SSD, which is pretty awesome. I want to test that out and see how beastly this thing would run with it. But yeah, as you see here, I just want to kind of show y'all how Final Cut Pro is quickly moving and everything. I can just edit all these things all over the place. But anyways, guys, as always, hit that like button if you like this video, and if it helped you out, it helps me out a lot as well. So just hit that like button, show me that you like it with a little thumbs up. Also, for future updates, go ahead and follow me on Facebook and on Twitter. I'll have those links down below. And if you're new to the channel, feel free to hit that subscribe button if you feel like being awesome, and so you'll be notified when I come out with all my future videos. Anyways, guys, that's gonna be it for this video. Thanks a lot for watching, and I will catch you guys on the next video. All right, peace.